Back at home, we all have a lot of work to do, but from here, Earth sure looks like a perfect world.
These were the words of billionaire businessman Jared Isaacman after making history as the first person to complete a commercial spacewalk. On September 12th, Isaacman set out on an incredible adventure aboard the Polaris Dawn mission, not as a government astronaut, but as a private citizen. This marks the first of 3 daring missions in collaboration with SpaceX, pushing human spaceflight to new frontiers. On Tuesday, September 10th, SpaceX launched 4 astronauts into orbit aboard a Falcon 9 rocket. The launch took place from NASA's Kennedy Space Center, using the historic Launch Complex 39A, the same pad that sent Apollo 11 to the moon. Just 15 hours after liftoff, the crew set a new record, reaching an altitude of 870 miles, the highest for any crewed mission since Apollo. Just to give you an idea, that's about 3.5 times higher than the International Space Station orbits. This achievement surpassed the previous record of 853 miles, set by NASA's Gemini 11 mission decades earlier. At such a high altitude, the crew faced heightened exposure to cosmic radiation and a greater risk of encountering space debris, both of which are serious challenges in space exploration. After completing 6 full orbits at this historic height, the Dragon capsule fired its thrusters once more, descending to a safer orbit as they prepared for the mission's highlight, a groundbreaking spacewalk. The live stream kicked off at exactly 6:12 a.m. EDT, with the Dragon spacecraft soaring 165 miles above the northern Atlantic near the coast of Ireland. Every moment was captured by open microphones as the crew suited up and started breathing purer oxygen, getting ready for their big moment outside the capsule. By 6:30 a.m., the Dragon was hurtling through space at over 15,000 miles per hour, and the crew began releasing air from the cabin. At that point, they had already flown over the wide expanse of the southern Indian Ocean. Just moments later, at 6:51 a.m., Jared Isaacman stepped out onto a special platform called Skywalker, ready to begin his spacewalk. Looking down, Isaacman was greeted with a breathtaking sight. Earth bathed in sunlight, clouds drifting gently over the ocean between Australia and Antarctica. But that stunning view didn't last long. As the Dragon spacecraft raced onward, it crossed into the shadow of orbital night, where daylight on Earth gave way to darkness. Standing there at the edge of space, Isaacman took a moment to reflect.
Back at home, we all have a lot of work to do, but from here, Earth sure looks like a perfect world.
He marveled at the thin line between light and darkness, feeling a deep connection to the planet below. The breathtaking view from space left the Polaris Dawn crew in awe, and thankfully they made it back home safely. Even with all the intense training and countless simulations, only Jared Isaacman had previous spaceflight experience from his 2021 Inspiration 4 mission. What made this mission even more challenging? The brand new EVA suits. These suits had never been tested in the harsh conditions of space before, making their trial one of the mission's key objectives. These next-gen suits are a major leap forward from earlier designs, built specifically for spacewalks. But that's not all. They're also part of SpaceX's bigger picture. These suits aren't just for maintaining spacecraft. They could be used on future missions to the moon or even Mars, as Elon Musk continues to chase his vision of establishing human life on the Red Planet. It's important to remember that spacewalks aren't easy. They're actually incredibly challenging. Out of the more than 475 spacewalks conducted so far, almost 1 in 5 has faced serious issues, many of which could have turned life-threatening. For the Polaris Dawn crew, the only hiccup was a minor issue with hatch seals, which was quickly resolved. By the end, the cabin was repressurized, and with the crew safely back in their seats, mission control could finally breathe easy. A faint smell of gunpowder from space exposure lingered, but the spacewalk was a success. Even though the toughest part of the mission was behind them, the Polaris Dawn crew still had plenty to do. On the 4th day, they planned to test a laser communication system for SpaceX's Starlink satellites and other spacecraft. This was just one of the 36 experiments they had on board. They even conducted MRI scans of their brains and used X-ray imaging to study how cosmic radiation affected their bodies. Once the science experiments were wrapped up, the crew began preparing for their return to Earth. On the morning of day 6, they suited up again as the Dragon spacecraft made its deorbit burn, re-entering Earth's atmosphere before splashing down off the coast of Florida. Waiting recovery ships were ready to pick up the astronauts and their spacecraft, marking the end of their historic mission. Did you know that scientists have recently discovered liquid water on Mars? Yes, it's true! If that blew your mind, you're going to love what's coming next. Click on the video right here to dive into our latest exploration of this groundbreaking discovery. What does this mean for the possibility of life on Mars? Join us and find out. Your next adventure is just a click away. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and I'll see you next time.